Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for The Flash Season 1, episode I think episode 12, I think. Yeah, episode 12, Crazy for You. And I know a lot of people have been saying this and I have to agree. I wasn't exactly looking forward to this episode because it just looked like a fun episode. It kind of looked kind of filler. It looked like it was kind of pointless to have this episode because I mean, last week's episode was so intense and such a serial episode. And, they started to focus more on the whole story aspect and less on the whole procedural aspect. But I gotta say, this episode was fantastic. I love this episode. It was another amazing episode. And one of the things I love about this episode is it really showed the characters moving on with their lives. It's really what it was all about, and I definitely really enjoyed that. I even enjoyed the metahuman in this episode, which I didn't know if I would, and I like that about this episode. So let's just get to it. And we start off where we see this woman, Dana. She is trapped in an overturned car with her husband. And I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen the Flash save people before, but it's always good to see the Flash save people. The fireman's moving in, trying to get the loose power lines. The Flash runs in, gets the car door open, removes the sun, and then goes back for Dana. The sparks set off the gasoline. The car explodes. The Flash gets clear with Dana just in time. The couple embrace and thank the hero. And everyone is back at Star Labs. Everyone's proud of Barry because he ran the fastest that he's ever run. And I love that Cisco and Barry were arguing over the Flash suit about who should clean it off. I thought that was really funny. And basically, Barry's thinking that he can go even faster, and Wells says that they all need to get some rest, and Cisco suggests they all go out for drinks, but Barry says he has movie night with Joe, and the young engineer then invites Caitlin out, but she passes, and Caitlin finally says that she discovered that Cisco has been doing research on Ronnie. And Cisco explains that Hartley claimed that he knows he can find Ronnie, and basically Caitlin says that it's time to move on, and I like what Cisco says to her, that she doesn't want to move on. She tells herself that she, is going to move on, but she doesn't want to move on because she hasn't moved on. She doesn't have much of a life, and he tells her that she's not going to move on and leaves, and I like that he says that to her because honestly, Caitlin hasn't moved on. Caitlin doesn't have much of a life, and I like that we focus more on Caitlin in this episode because I feel like Caitlin's kind of been pushed to the side recently, so I like that she had a lot more to do in this episode. I thought that was very well done. So then we meet our main metahuman. It's this girl, Shawna Bays, and I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed her character. I didn't think I would because I don't really like these random metahumans, but I really liked what they did with her character in this episode. She pulls up outside of Iron Heights and then teleports inside, and she disables the security cameras and uses a stolen set of blueprints to find her way to the cell of her boyfriend, Clay. And she teleports in, takes Clay's hand, and teleports out with him back to her car. Clay kisses his girlfriend, and then they drive off, and you can see right away that these two really do love each other, and you can tell that she is going to be a big match, quite a match for Barry, because, I mean, this girl can teleport, and she can teleport very, very fast. She's as fast as Barry, so it's pretty crazy when we found that out. So the next day, Barry and Joe are examining Clay's cell, and Barry has found organic particulate residue, and a trail led outside. And then we see something that I didn't think we'd ever see. A guard escorts Henry in, and he says that the prisoners have been talking about the escape, and you can see the look on Barry's face. He is just lighting up about this because this is one of the things he's always wanted. He's always wanted his father to not be in prison. He's always wanted to be able to see his father not behind bars, and to see that his father is out of prison was amazing to see. I love seeing that, and Henry figures that Barry can figure out how Clay escaped if anyone can, and the guard takes him away, and Joe says the guard owed him a favor, and I thought that was a very well done scene. So at their apartment, Clay thanks Shawna for the rescue. She explains that after Clay got locked up, she started passing out until she learned how to master her new teleport abilities. Shawna wants to leave Central City, but Clay says that he can't leave yet because he owes Marcus a lot of money. And I like this storyline, definitely. He figures that they can pay off his debt with Shawna's abilities, and they can go anywhere they want after a moment Shawna kisses him. And I like that they have a reason for them doing this, because I feel like sometimes they don't exactly give reasons for the characters. Sometimes they just come off as very cheesy. And really, Shawna and Clay, these characters, I didn't think they came off cheesy or anything, which I definitely really enjoyed because a lot of the characters have come off very cheesy. Like a lot of the metahumans have come out very, very cheesy, and they did not. So I definitely really enjoyed that about the episode, is that these two did not come out cheesy because they could have come off as cheesy, and I'm liking that they didn't do that, which is an improvement over the show, because I like that the show is starting to give more development to the metahumans, because I wanna see their motivations, and I like seeing that we have character motivations for what they're doing now, because that's something we need to see. So at Starlabs, the scientists analyze the residue and confirm that it contains the DNA of a woman, and Cisco runs the DNA against the CCPD database and matches it with Shawna. And as they begin analyzing the residue, Cisco visits Hartley, and he said that Professor Stein was at Star Labs that night of the explosion, and I like that we saw Hartley again, because I was wondering, what was going to happen with Hartley, what he was going to say to him. I was very interested in seeing what was going to happen there. If he actually, could find him Ronnie, or if he was just playing. And basically, he says that Martin never left, but insists that he has to show Cisco to explain. Cisco refuses to let him out, and Hartley says that he knows Cisco considers Ronnie a part of the family, and he built there, and he tells Cisco that he'll be there when Cisco is ready. So I like the way, Hartley is playing this. I definitely enjoyed that, and I thought that was really, really good the way, he's playing this. So, later that day, Barry meets Iris at Jitters and talks about how he met Henry face-to-face for once. And I was very happy for him, and Iris asks about the breakout and explains about how her editor only wants her to write Flash-related stories. And she's worried that she'll lose her job if she doesn't come up with a Flash story. So Barry assures her that he's there for her, and they're going to come up with something, even if it's a fake story. And I like seeing Barry be supportive of Iris, because it's one of my favorite parts of the show, is to see him continue to be supportive of Iris, even though Iris, has been doing things, with Eddie and everything. Barry still supports her, and I love that about Barry's character. It really shows how much of a hero he really is. Cisco goes back to Hartley's cell, puts on a pair of special handcuffs on him, and Joe and Barry meet with Henry in prison. He's learned that Clay was working as a runner for Marcus Stockheimer and lost a lot of money. Anyone who gets out is expected to meet with Stockheimer, and Barry tells his father to stop playing cop, and Henry agrees. And I like seeing that, because his father, of course, was just released from prison. So obviously his father's in an awkward position right now. Of, he doesn't really know what to do. He wants to be there for his son, but at the same time, he's a Joe all these years. He hasn't really had Henry. So they're in a very awkward stage right now, and I didn't really know what was going to happen with Henry. But I like seeing Henry try to be there for Barry, even if Barry didn't want him to. I thought that was very well done, and I definitely really enjoyed that. So I thought that was very good. So Cisco takes Hartley outside. The villain tells him to look carefully, and after a moment, Cisco finds a silhouette. Hartley explains it's a bomb shadow, similar to those found at Hiroshima, and the shadow belongs to Martin, but Cisco figures it's another trick. He doesn't want to believe anything that Hartley says, and Hartley tries to run it, but Cisco tackles him. They fight. Hartley breaks free, tries to run, and Cisco activates this remote, triggering Hartley's cochlear devices and tells him to reveal where Ronnie is. And Hartley is screaming in pain and agony, and I was just like, this is awesome that Cisco has that kind of power against him. Cisco shuts off the device. However, the villain says that Cisco has to remove the handcuffs because they'll look conspicuous where they're going next. And Barry returns to the lab, and Caitlin tells him that when Clay and Shawna touched, Clay's cells took on her properties. So as they talk, Barry can tell that something's bothering her. He can tell that she's kind of down in the dumps, and Caitlin finally repeats what Cisco said about her not having a life. And Barry admits that, basically, she said, he asked her if she really does have much of a life, and she tells him things that she does, like cleaning and helping him, and he basically says, so doing everything you can do but not having a life. And Barry admits that he really isn't doing much either. Really, I think all he said he does with Joe is be the Flash and watch Netflix with Joe. So I thought that was kind of funny. So as they get an alert about an armed robbery, they match the description of Shawna and Clay, and the Flash speeds to the site. Shawna is teleporting the bags from the armored car to her car when the Flash arrives. She braces herself and then dares him to catch her. He grabs her, but she teleports away and keeps teleporting. And when the Flash manages to grab her, she teleports to a walkway, falls over the side, just catching himself. The Flash speeds down to grab her, but Clay shoots him in the back, and the speedster just manages to deflect the bullet, although it breaks the skin and stuns him, giving him time to escape. And I really liked Shawna's character. I really like Shawna as a villain in this episode because she really was a challenge for Barry, and I like seeing that when we have challenges for Barry of people that are faster than him or just they're more powerful than him. Shawna is faster than him, so I like seeing that. I thought that was well done because I didn't think we'd see anyone faster than the Flash, and I thought the fast person was the Reverse Flash, and now we know there are more people that are fast. I'm wondering if there are more people like Shawna. That's what I'm wondering. So back at the lab, Caitlin treats the bullet wound while Wells speculates on how she teleports, and Caitlin dubs Shawna Peekaboo, and I like that she called her that. She's like, what, can I pick a name? I thought that was kind of funny. And Wells says that Shawna might have some limits, and Barry asks him to work on it while he goes to help Iris' story. However, when he gets to the police station, Iris is leaving with Eddie and says they're going to meet his mother. So that plot is thwarted. So once they leave, Barry calls Kane and asks what bars Shawna and Clay frequented, and he explains that he's going to see if they went back to their former hangouts, and Caitlin offers to help. So when Caitlin meets Barry at one of the bars, she's all dressed up, and he's completely surprised because he didn't think this would be like a date or anything. And they look around, and Caitlin suggests that they get themselves back out there. Barry admits that he keeps trying to help Iris, hoping that things will change, but he has to accept that he's just a friend. And he thinks it's ridiculous because, he then realizes, he's like, you know what, it's ridiculous. We're both 20, we should be meeting people, having a lot of dates, and I like seeing that. But Caitlin, I really like seeing Barry and Caitlin just having a good time in this scene. I thought this was a very well done scene. Caitlin gulps down her drink and starts a tab, and Hartley takes Cisco to the station and explains that on the night of the explosion, Martin walked right past him, and Cisco brings out the video of the lab of the night of the explosion, and they see Martin's eyes turn right, just like Ronnie's. And the blast of the energy, they see Ronnie's face and figure that the dark matter merged them together. And as Cisco stares at the monitor, Hartley removes one of the cochlear implants and triggers it, blasting Cisco and then destroying the remote before walking out. And we then see a drunk Caitlin. So basically, Hartley just got away, and he played Cisco. So now my question is, now that Hartley's back out there, is he actually serious about what he can do? Because I know next week we're focusing on Firestorm. I know that, but they didn't really explain that. And honestly, I don't want an explanation until next week because I like cliffhangers. But it was weird that he just suddenly got away. But I didn't trust him from the start, so I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he just got away. So drunk Caitlin calls Barry up on stage to sing karaoke with her. He reluctantly does so. He doesn't know if he wants to, and they sing Summer Nights. And what I liked before is that we saw a guy singing, and he was like absolutely terrible. And Caitlin is completely drunk that she sounds awful, but she is shocked because he's actually a very good singer. I mean, we know that Grant Gustin can sing because he was on Glee, and he was very good on Glee. And I really like that small bit they sang together. Really just shows some of the... It really was just a fun scene that I really enjoyed. And I love that she's just like, you can sing, you're the Flash, what can't you do? And once they're done, Caitlin goes to the bathroom, and a woman, Linda Parker, comes over, who I assume is going to be Barry's new love interest, because I really like her character. And the direction she's heading, I definitely feel like her and Barry are getting together. I don't know if she's a real character in the comic book world, but if she is, I really like where they're going with her character, because I think she's a very good character. So she gets the bartender, Stevie, to pay attention to Barry and close out his tab. She admits that it's some of the best singing that she's heard, because usually, all the singing sucks there. Those karaoke bars you go to where the singing just absolutely sucks? Yeah, she tells Barry that this is actually good, and I like that she says that to him. So she asks if Caitlin is his girlfriend, and Barry assures Linda that Caitlin's just a friend, and Linda shows him this phone app that gives her his phone number, and I want that phone app. I want to see if that's a real thing, because honestly, that's pretty awesome. Basically, how it works, you touch the phone, and that gives the person all of your contact information. That's pretty awesome, honestly. I want to see if that's an actual app. Please, somebody comment if that is an actual app, because I will get that app. It's such a convenient, it's so convenient because all you have to do is literally just touch the person's phone and just, you don't even have to ask them for their phone number. What's the point of even asking people for phone numbers? I mean, that's just awesome. If there really is an app like that, please tell me if it's available because I want that app. I do. But whatever, I really do. So, she says that what he does with it is up to him and walks off, and I really like her character. She really seems to have an interest in Barry. She's a sweet girl, and I like that about her character, definitely. And I mean, she basically is the one that's telling me to get back into the dating world. Definitely really enjoyed that. So Caitlin comes out, Barry gets her outside, and she's throwing up. Obviously, she does not feel good. She had too much to drink, obviously. And, Clay and Shawna take the $80,000 to Marcus and Clay and ask if they're straight. Marcus draws a gun on Shawna. She teleports behind him. He said that they need to keep working together to make a lot of money. Joe and Eddie burst in with a SWAT team and open fire, and Clay is hit. And Joe and his men move in, and Shawna teleports away with Clay. And Barry, meanwhile, speeds Caitlin home, and she asks if Barry's going to call Linda. And I like that she joked around about it. And basically, Caitlin starts to undress and tells Barry to call Linda before he lets her sleep away. And she finally asks for his help. Barry dressed her in her pajamas at Snooper Speed, and I love that she's like to him, did you take a little peek? Were you, like, taking a little sneak peek? And I love his line. He's like, I wouldn't be a hero if I did that. I thought that was a very good line. Really shows how much Barry is just a friend to Caitlin. This was a very cute scene, but I gotta say, I like them as friends. I don't want them to get together. I don't think this episode was supposed to show them together. What it was really trying to show is that they both are very good friends, and that they're gonna get each other back into the dating world. So Barry gets back, he gets her to bed. Caitlin thanks him for the night out and then asks him to stay with her until she falls asleep. And I thought that was a very sweet scene. But then the next day, of course, Caitlin's hungover. She's wearing sunglasses and she just looks extremely unattractive. And she finds Barry waiting for her. And she says she doesn't remember anything about the night before. And I love that he teases her about summer nights. Thought that was very funny. Wells has Cisco explain that he let Hartley out. And I was surprised that, we actually, that Cisco literally told them in this episode. And he wanted to find out what happened to Ronnie because he was the one who sealed Ronnie into the accelerator before it blew. He blamed himself for what happened to Ronnie, but couldn't bring himself to tell Caitlin. She tells her friend that Ronnie would say that Cisco did the right thing, and I like that Caitlin told him that because really, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, if this guy had legit information, all he was doing was helping his best friend because Caitlin and him are best friends. He was helping her out, and that's really all he was doing. He didn't do really anything wrong. Honestly, I think Caitlin would have done the same thing for Cisco. If Cisco would have lost someone that was near and dear to him, and, Hartley told Caitlin there was some way of finding them, Caitlin would have done the same thing. And I think Barry would have done the same. I think all of them really would have done the same thing. So I like seeing that Caitlin tells Cisco, we all would have done the same thing. And I thought that was very well done. So they go to work catching Shawna. Wells brings up the particulate samples and demonstrates that they go dormant in darkness. He figures that if Shawna can't see, then she can't teleport. And this was one of the shocking moments of the episode. Barry gets a call. Henry has been stabbed. And I really love this next scene with Henry. Because, of course, as I said, Henry's in a very awkward position right now. His son doesn't really want him to help him out, but yet he wants to. So Joe and Barry go to Iron Heights, sees Henry in the infirmary. He admits he got beat up for asking about Marcus. And Joe admits that Henry called him with the intel they need to track down Marcus and arrest him. And Henry says he did it to help Barry and insists that, I like this scene. Barry's saying that he doesn't want his help, but he's telling him that he doesn't care. If there's a way to help him, then he's going to do it. And I like seeing that because, he kind of feels helpless right now, really. He doesn't have much to do in his life. There isn't anything he really can do to help Barry. This is really the only thing he can do. He hasn't been in his life. Most of his life he's been in prison. Barry's had Joe. Joe's given him so much that I think Henry's just trying to find something to do to be a good father to him and provide for him. But the thing is, Barry is 20 years old. He doesn't really need someone like Henry. He needs someone like Joe, who he's been with. Henry, I think, needs to take a few steps back. I understand what he's trying to do, but you can't just go around helping out your son. I understand you want to, but you gotta take a few steps back and let Barry do his job. And Barry agrees, takes his father's hand, then asks who did it to him. And after a moment, Henry says that it was Julius that did it, and mentions that Marcus has a big setup, and the Flash runs into Julius' cell, speeds him outside the prison. Julius realizes that they'll give him another 10 years. They discover he escaped, And I love that the Flash like, you only got a few seconds unless you tell me where Marcus and his next job is. The convict spills the information about the robbery of a money transfer containing millions. Satisfied, the Flash runs off, and the guards find Julius. So they drive to the transfer truck, spots someone behind them. Peekaboo teleports into the back, grabs the money, then teleports back to the car that Clay is driving. The Flash gets ahead of them in a tunnel. Peekaboo tells Clay that she's got it. She teleports out, attacks the hero with a baton, teleporting and hitting him faster than he can react, and the Flash manages to grab her. Clay finally tries to run the speedster down. The hero gets out of the way. Peekaboo teleports in the car. They head off, and Wells reminds the Flash that Shawna can't teleport if she can't see. And I thought that was definitely interesting when we found that out. And basically Barry grabs 2 wrenches, knocks out all the lights in the tunnel. Now she can't teleport, obviously. So they take the car's headlights. By the time he gets the car doors open, and Clay has escaped, and Peekaboo admits that her boyfriend abandoned her. And that was kind of weird that he just abandoned her. But if you remember, she was the one that wanted to leave, and he didn't. So I can understand why he just abandoned her, and that was kind of sad that happened. So the team locks her up in a pipeline cell, and she discovers that she can't teleport out. Her teleporting abilities are gone, and Cisco assures his friends that no one dangerous will ever get out again. And Barry talks to Shawna over the loudspeakers, pointing out that Clay left her. She admits that she still loves Clay despite them. Barry tells Caitlin that some people are worth being crazy for. And I like that they reference that to Barry and Caitlin. I definitely enjoyed that because it refers to Caitlin and Ronnie. And basically, Caitlin apologized for the other night, but Barry says it was fun and points out that they've both been hung up on other people for too long. They have been. I mean, Barry has been obsessed with Iris and trying to be with her. And Caitlin's been pretty obsessed with Ronnie. And Caitlin figures that Ronnie isn't alive and it's time for her to move on with someone else. Because, I mean, Firestorm was there, but he's such a changed person that she can't really say that Ronnie's alive, and she needs to accept that she needs to move on. And Barry says that he'll see her tomorrow, and I thought that was a very good scene because it really gave closure to what we were trying to get at there, that Caitlin's going to move on. And I'm happy that Caitlin's going to move on because I've wanted Caitlin to move on. I'm looking forward to seeing who she's going to move on with. So, later the Flash meets Iris, gives her a file on Clay. She wonders why he's helping her, and the Flash says that she's a good reporter, the only one he knows, speeds off unaware that Iris snapped a photo of him, and basically Iris now has that information for the Flash. So Barry arrives to Picture News, but tells Iris that he's not there for her, and Linda comes over, and this is probably the most awkward scene we've had with Barry and Iris. The look on Iris's face is just priceless. She's like, seriously, you're over me? Like, honestly, I feel like Iris was kind of jealous that Barry was over her, and I like seeing that, so... But I gotta say, I like Barry and Linda. I want to see how their relationship goes overall. Because the only other person we've really seen Barry have a romantic relationship possibly with was Felicity. So that's it. Besides Iris, that's really all it's been. And I like seeing this Linda girl. I want to see what she contributes to Barry's life, what she contributes to the show. I definitely feel like her and Barry could be together for a while. And she goes for lunch with Barry as a puzzled Iris stares after them. She's just like, what the hell just happened? And I thought that was very funny when that happened. And I really enjoyed that. The final scene of this episode, though, I just loved the final scene of this episode. Not the post-credit scene, the scene before that. Because after the date, Barry visits Henry in the infirmary and tells his father about his date. And Henry's has a copy of the newest Picture News with a front-page photo of the Flash. And said the Flash visited him once. He's also heard about how Julius claimed that the Flash had broke him out and looked suspiciously at Barry. And that just made me think, oh my god, his dad does not know that he's the Flash. And I don't think we ever really knew that. I mean, we knew it, but we never really suspected it. I didn't really suspect it. I never suspected that his dad didn't know that he was the Flash, and Barry says that if he were the Flash, then Henry would be the first to know. Henry says that if the Flash were his son, he wanted to know that he's doing a great thing, he's saving a lot of people, and that he's proud of him. And Barry has, like, tears in his eyes. I honestly feel like Barry's gonna tell his father now, because... I think Barry's gonna feel really bad now. I mean, his father really wants to help him, and if he finds out that he's the Flash, it could really end up hurting his father. But at the same time, I feel like he should tell him, because he can trust Henry. Henry's a good guy. He should trust him, and I think that Barry is gonna tell Henry this season. I don't know when, but just the look on Barry's face made me think that he is going to tell Henry at some point about him being the Flash. But before we can think of that, the post-credit scene was absolutely huge, because two workers go into the old sewers to check out some writing issues. They find the word Grodd writing on the walls, and yup, Gorilla Grodd is back. They hear someone growling in the darkness. They investigate. Gorilla emerges from the shadows, grabs one of them. The other worker runs, but the creature grabs him, drags him back, and Gorilla Grodd is officially back, and I cannot wait for next week's episode. But overall, guys, this episode was amazing. Next week's episode looks very interesting, because we're going to find out what happened to Ronnie. Supposedly, he has some sort of, like, split personality issue going on. Like, for example, there's this guy's voice in his head. There's this doctor's voice in his head. And sometimes he will come out, and then other times Ronnie comes out. It's very strange. I'm interested in seeing how they're going to do that. But I really enjoyed this episode, because it's really putting Barry and Caitlin back into the dating world. I'm wondering who Caitlin's going to move on with. I don't really know, but I like seeing that. Now, my other question is Hartley. Are we going to see Hartley again? Because Hartley escaped, and I definitely feel like this is not the last we've seen of him. I like Hartley's character. I feel like he could help Caitlin and Cisco in the future. I actually do feel like he does have information about Firestorm, but I think the reason he didn't tell them was because he just wanted to escape. I don't know if he actually did. What do you guys think? Do you think that Hartley actually had information, or did he just do that to escape so he could get the hell out of there? I mean, if he did, then I could understand why. But at the same time, I feel like he could have that information. There was a part of me that really feels like he is not lying, that he actually does have that information. As far as Barry and Iris, Iris is just like, I think Iris is surprised at Barry and Linda, but I want to see where their relationship goes. I like Barry and Linda overall. I'm interested in seeing where their relationship's going to go. Barry and Henry. Is Barry going to tell Henry that he's the Flash? That's something definitely he's going to tell Henry before he tells Iris. I know that. What is going to happen with Gorilla Grodd? I kind of feel like my only thing with Gorilla Grodd is I feel like they're just going to show this, and they're not going to, actually do anything with it till a few episodes later. But this is just showing that Gorilla Grodd is still out there, and we should be worried because Gorilla Grodd is still out there, and I like seeing that in this episode. But overall, guys, this was another fantastic episode. As usual, it's The Flash. It's always great. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I wouldn't say this is the best episode of the season, but it was definitely up there. It was definitely one of the best episodes of the season. I really enjoyed it overall. And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Agent Carter. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.